Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and today Dead by Daylight gave us a new developer update for September, and this includes all the changes that are proposed for the next mid-chapter patch, the public test build that's going to take place on September the 17th. If you've never done a public test build before, this is something that you can opt into to test new stuff that's coming to the game if you are a player on Steam. And so here's the notes on it. The 8.3.0 PTB is on the way, along with changes to 20 perks, the finisher Mori, the killer changes, and learn more at these links on Reddit or the forums. All right, so let's go over to the official forums, because I avoid Reddit because the people aren't very nice. Not you, but you know, everybody else. So we're going to go to the official forums and read what's coming up. So here we are on the official forums for Dead by Daylight here. Developer update September 2024. On this page, survivor perks, killer perks, and killer updates. The next update features an especially large number of perk tweaks and reworks on top of our usual killer tweaks and new features. In this post, we'll dig into each of the changes and share our reasoning behind them. First, starting off here with the finisher Mori. Finishing Mori, major update. New. The killer can now perform a Mori on the final survivor without using an offering. New, objects obstructing the camera during the Mori animation will fade away. Oh, so it'll be like you won't have censored Moris. Everything will be visible. A rework, the Memento Mori offerings have a new effect and gain a large blood point bonus for performing a Mori on the final survivor. Developer note. When the finishing Mori system was tested previously, many found it and the surrounding gameplay changes to have too large an effect on the match. We have scaled back this system to better suit what players expected from it. Killers now have the option to kill the final survivor if they so choose. This will provide some visual flair and create a satisfying end to a match. Since this change would make Memento Mori offerings obsolete, we have reworked them to instead reward the killer with a large amount of blood points based on their rarity when a Mori is performed. We have also added a new mechanic which hides nearby objects when a Mori is happening to prevent rocks, crates, and other things from rudely standing in the way, so you can see these kills in all their glory. One thing I like about this system is the killers very rarely get to see their cosmetics, except when, you know, loading into the game and on the end screen. So I think the option to potentially have a Mori every time, you can appreciate the outfit that you brought into the game that only the survivors can see up to then. So I think that's a nice change to appreciate your own cosmetics. Interested to see how this works though. Now, survivor perks, teamwork, power of 2. This effect will linger for a few seconds when out of range. Re-entering this range before the linger time expires will maintain the effects. We've increased the range to up to 16 meters from 12 meters. Teamwork power 2 no longer has a cooldown. It was 140 seconds, and it no longer deactivates when either survivor loses a health state. This perk grants a speed boost to both survivors after healing as long as they stick together. This alone is pretty conditional, so we have removed the cooldown entirely and removed the added deactivation clause to simplify the perk and make it feel better to use. We've also increased the range slightly to make it a little easier to maintain. That's kind of interesting. I might play around with that one and see. Teamwork, again, collective stealth, another teamwork perk. This effect will linger for a few seconds when out of range, and re-entering this range before the linger time expires will maintain the effect. So same idea. Again, another range increase up to 16 meters. Collective stealth no longer has a cooldown, so basically the same changes for both of these. We've given a similar treatment to teamwork, collective stealth. Healing and staying near each other is already quite the demand. So we've removed the unnecessary cooldown and health state conditions. The range will match other teamwork perks for consistency. Interesting. Corrective action now applies to survivors within 8 meters. It was cooperating on the same action. Prevented failed skill checks now become great skill checks. It was good skill checks. Corrective action previously only prevented progress lost from other survivors' missed skill checks. This could be great when playing with a new friend, but not very useful for more experienced players. We've changed the result to a great skill check to provide a marginal progress boost whenever the perk activates, giving it some value in higher end matches. So we can fail skill checks on purpose and they'll turn into greats? Okay. And it says now applies to survivors within 8 meters. So if they fail a skill check when they're healing beside me, will that apply? You're not going to have another gen within 8 meters. Must be on any kind of skill check then, right? Inner focus. Change. Increase the aura reading duration to 10 seconds, up from 5 seconds. Removed the range requirement. This perk previously required you to be within 32 meters of the survivor who loses a health state, meaning you would often know where the killer is anyway. We have removed this condition. This will make inner focus a useful tool for keeping track of the killer's whereabouts, regardless of where they are in the map. That's interesting. We're gonna live forever. This one got changed again, huh? Increase the healing speed bonus to 150%. It was 100%. That's fast. Survivors aren't left in the dying state often, so we want to make sure this perk is effective when that situation arises. We have removed the endurance effect. Oh, endurance effect no longer needs to be activated. Added a new 30-second cooldown to the endurance effect. What? Endurance effect no longer needs to be activated. Added a new 30-second cooldown. The endurance aspect of the perk made the perk overly complicated to make use of, so we have replaced this with a cooldown instead. This cooldown only applies to the endurance effect, not the healing speed increases. I don't think I'm smart enough to understand that. I'll have to see it. I'm a visual learner, okay? All right, poised. When you first start repairing a generator, you see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. Increase duration to 14 seconds, up from 10. To make Poise more appealing, we're introducing a new effect in addition to the original one. When you first start repairing a generator, you'll see the killer's aura. This will help keep tabs on where they are throughout the match. We've also increased the duration of the original effect to help you cover more ground without leaving tracks. That's interesting. If you're somebody who just likes to be gen jockey and move around, you can start on gens and keep tabs on where the killer is. Hop around the map. It's pretty interesting. Blood Rush. Major update. Blood Rush now activates for 60 seconds after being unhooked. Previously activated permanently when you were 1 hook away from death. Blood Rush now deactivates upon performing a conspicuous action. Blood Rush now deactivates when the exit gates are powered, and Blood Rush no longer heals or provides the broken status effect. This perk had a lot of effects and an equally strict set of conditions. We have simplified it to focus on the exhaustion recovery, which tended to be the main appeal for the perk. To allow this effect to happen more often, Blood Rush now activates for a set duration after you are unhooked. Killers want to be careful not to chase Blood Rush users after they are unhooked, since they will be harder to catch. This effect will be disabled if the survivor performs a conspicuous action, or if the exit gates are powered. So this is going to be another thing that you could use for anti-tunnel then. Quick Gambit. When chased, see the auras of other survivors. Quick Gambit now has a 60-second cooldown upon losing a health state. Reduce the repair speed bonus to 5% instead of 8%. Removed the repair speed bonus, no longer has a limited range. Quick Gambit previously required survivors to lead the killer towards the generator in order to get any benefit. Oh yeah, so this is like, if you run the killer to the people doing the gens, then they're going to get repair speed bonus. This was very risky and often resulted in the killer chasing those survivors instead. So this is like the sandbag perk. Hey, they're over here doing the gen. You going to let them just do this gen? This perk no longer has a range requirement and now shows the auras of other survivors, so you can do the opposite. You can keep the killer away from the generators. To balance this out, Quick Gambit will now go on cooldown upon losing a health state, making it more challenging to keep active and providing the killer a way to play around it. That's actually pretty interesting, because it's generally the way I play the game, is I try to figure out where we're doing the generators, and then when the killer chases me, I'm trying to run the killer in the opposite direction of the generators we're trying to complete. So, if I can get the killer to chase me, and this provides my fellow teammates with a repair speed bonus while doing so, that's a win-win. That's an interesting update to that one for me. Distortion. Oh. Son, come hold my hand while I read this one. I'm scared. All right, Distortion. Distortion no longer has tokens and instead deactivates once used until the next time you are chased. I beg your pardon. Change. Increase duration to 8, 10, and 12 seconds. Up from 10 seconds. Distortion counters a lot of perks and add-ons. This token system and recharge mechanic makes Distortion far too effective and allows survivors to go unseen for the entire match. I'm not invisible, right? The killers still have eyeballs, right? To limit its effectiveness, we have removed the token system and made it so Distortion only reactivates upon being chased. We have extended the duration slightly to help account for longer aura reading effects to compensate. So basically what you're telling me is that a full aura huntress with darkness revealed barbecue is not going to be affected by Distortion at all, right? So barbecue is going to work perfectly fine. You're going to know where every survivor is. Yeah. Lucky Star. Lucky Star now suppresses grunts of pain and pools of blood as long as you're in the locker. This effect lingers. And yeah, can I just go back? I'm just not going to use Distortion anymore. I don't like, what is this going to do for me? Like, this is just going to basically block, like, I'm all ears when I'm vaulting over stuff. Like, I have to be in chase for this to do anything. Yeah, that's just gone straight in the garbage, I think. Am I wrong? Lucky Star now suppresses grunts of pain and pools of blood as long as you're in the locker. This effect lingers for 30 seconds after exiting the locker. It was 10 seconds after entering. Remove. No longer reveals survivors or generators' auras. Lucky Star's short duration often meant it would wear off before the killer left the area. It will now stay active as long as you are in the locker and linger for a set duration after you leave. Interesting. Genetic limits. Anytime a survivor loses a health state, they suffer from exhaustion for 8 seconds. Genetic limits previously affected survivors who healed, which often led to the exhausted effect expiring before they could be chased. It will now apply to survivors who lose a health state instead, but with a shorter duration. This will provide more consistent value. Those skilled survivors may be able to outlast the effect. 8 seconds, huh? Interesting. Leverage. When a survivor performs an unhook, their healing speed is reduced by 50% for 30 seconds. Leverage used to gain strength as the match went on. This made leverage ineffective early on, often only becoming effective when the match was nearly won anyway. We have reworked it to be much simpler and provide consistent value. Leverage now discourages survivors from healing directly under the hook. Interesting. Swack. Swack now starts with 3 tokens and gains 1 token upon hooking a survivor. When breaking a pallet or a breakable wall, consume 1 token and cause survivors within 24 meters to scream and reveal their location for 5 seconds. Swack used to only activate once per hook, leading it to often being wasted. By introducing tokens, killers can store these uses for later and potentially use it more than once in a chase. Machine learning. The most recent damage generator becomes compromised. Machine learning previously required you to damage one generator to activate it, then another to compromise it. This made it awkward to use, so to simplify this, the most recent damage generator will always be the compromised one. Only one generator can be compromised at a time. Oh, that's interesting. Deathbound. Deathbound no longer has a distance requirement to activate. Deathbound no longer has a duration and instead deactivates when the healer is hooked. This perk's range condition made it inconsistent to use. To simplify it and give it a nice boost in strength, we have removed both the range requirement and the duration. Zanin tactics. When a survivor is within 6 meters of a drop pallet, within 16 meters of your location, their aura is revealed to you for 10 seconds. Unless they have the new distortion and they're being chased. Developer note. Revealing pallets and windows was much less useful for killers than survivors, since the killer is present every time a pallet is broken. We have reworked this perk to instead reveal survivor auras near drop pallets. This will provide some useful info during a chase and allow for some interesting mind games. Yeah, Zanin's not great. That sounds better. Dead Man Switch now applies only to the first survivors who stop repairing a generator. Increased duration to 50 seconds, up from 45 seconds. Dead Man Switch provides a very powerful effect, but can sometimes get out of hand when combined with other perks. We have changed it to activate only on the first survivor who stops repairing to limit how powerful it can be and increase its duration to compensate. Oh, that's not a great change for people who use Dead Man's. Blood Echo. Blood Echo no longer has a cooldown, reduced duration to 30 seconds. Blood Echo previously had a long cooldown. This felt unnecessary since the requirement of hooking a survivor itself spaced out its activations. This has been removed, allowing the perk to activate more frequently and reduce the duration slightly to compensate. Hex Crowd Control. The last five vaults which survivors rush vault are blocked by the entity. This lasts until the Hex Totem is cleansed. In vault-heavy areas, it was possible for survivors to outlast the effect by linking together multiple windows. Going forward, the most recently vaulted windows will be blocked until the Hex is cleansed. Oh, boy. That's, sounds like a nice change for killers. We'll have to see how that works. Predator. When a survivor escapes a chase, their aura is revealed for 6 seconds. This perk then goes on cooldown for 40 seconds. Predator always caused mixed feelings. Some feel like tighter scratch marks make tracking easier. Others find that it makes finding survivors harder. So we've given this a new effect, which will be more useful to all. Those struggling to keep track of survivors will find Predator handy for giving them a second chance. Meanwhile, more experienced players may find some use by intentionally breaking chase. Got it. So Distortion is nerfed to the ground, and we added more things that will reveal survivors' auras. Got it. Oh, jeez. All right, here we go. Killer updates. The Skull Merchant. Decreased hindered penalty when scanned by a drone to 5%. Removed. The Skull Merchant no longer gains haste when scanning a survivor. That was one of the big points of contention, is the haste that Skull Merchant had. So these two effects combine to create a huge speed difference between the killer and the survivors. We've removed one and toned the other one down to a fairer level. Change. Reduce the number of drone scan lines to 1, down from 2. Drones are now always in their active state. Oh, interesting. Drone scan lines are now invisible beyond 16 meters. Being unable to see drone scan lines made them very difficult to play around accordingly. Scan lines will now always be visible when nearby and invisible when out of range. Additionally, we have reduced the number of scan lines per drone to allow for more counterplay. So you mean like the spinning around is only going to be 1 scan line instead of 2 circling? Ooh, boy. Huh. The Hillbilly. Decrease the time before overdrive starts to dissipate to 8 seconds, down from 15 seconds. Decreased overdrive movement speed to 11.5 meters per second, down from 13 meters per second. Decrease overdrive charges gained while revving and spinning to 1.5 per second instead of 2 per second. And increase the chainsaw missed attack cooldown to 2.7 seconds, up from 2.5 seconds. It's been great seeing the Hillbilly's rise in popularity. Now that he's had some time to settle, we've identified a few aspects of his new overdrive mechanic that could use some fine-tuning. Overdrive tended to kick in very frequently, stayed active for a large portion of the match. These changes will make the overdrive mechanic a little less common and provide less of a speed boost when it's active. We've also increased the missed attack cooldown slightly to make it harder to follow up a missed chainsaw with a basic attack. The twins. All right, let's see. I'm reading all this the first time along with you, by the way. I did not look at any of this early. Increased Victor's cooldown when crushed to 20 seconds, up from 15 seconds. Increase the cooldown after Victor downs a survivor to 3.2 seconds, was 2.7 seconds. Following their update earlier this year, the twins saw a sharp increase in lethality. To keep them in check, we've slightly increased how long it takes for Victor to recover after downing a survivor. We've also slightly increased how long it takes for Victor to become available after being crushed by a survivor to make it more impactful when a survivor manages to pull it off. Interesting. So an extra half a second to kick Victor in the teeth after he downs your teammate. Okay. I wasn't sure what they were going to do with the twins. I wasn't sure if they're going to try a whole new overhaul. This is minor, but it's definitely a nerf to the twins. The unknown. Oh boy. HUD update to display teleport cooldown and hallucination spawn time. Change. Movement speed now decreases sooner when you're charging your power. Increased teleport recovery speed by 15%. Adjustments to blurry photo and vanishing box add-ons, and improved visual and audio feedback when using UVX. We tend to revisit killers a few months after they release and see if they need any balance changes. It turns out the unknown is already in a pretty good spot and is well liked by players, so that makes our job easy this time around. Tapping the power button can postpone a hallucination from spawning, but to a survivor it appears as if you're about to launch UVX. This forces survivors to constantly dodge and lose distance without slowing down the killer. We've reduced the window before the killer slows down while charging their power. This will make it harder to tap the power without slowing down while focusing on a chase. Yeah, so some people would try and navigate where they were going to drop their husks. I see. We noticed that the blurry photo add-on is a fan favorite, so we have incorporated part of its effect into the base kit and toned it down to compensate. This will allow more freedom to experiment with other add-ons without missing out. We've also toned down the vanishing box add-on, which was on the stronger side, by adding a trade-off to increase to hallucination spawn time. And lastly, we've improved the VFX and SFX when using UVX. That's a lot of X's. This doesn't affect balance, but it will make it clearer to newer unknown players that hitting survivors with the blast is how you apply weakened and deal damage, not with airborne hits. Until next time, the Dead by Daylight team. I thought maybe they were going to nerf the unknown. Like change the amount of time to knock them out. But nope. I'm not surprised that the Billy got nerfs. And I'm curious to see how these Skull Merchant changes are going to be. But what do you think here? To me, as a Distortion user, the big news here is that they destroyed Distortion for me. What do you think? What is the big news in all of this stuff here for you? I'm curious to hear what you think. Which perk changes do you like the most? Are you intrigued by this Finisher Mori system? Give me any and all thoughts on what I've just read for you here in this September update. And yeah, so this is going to go live on Steam on September the 17th, and I'll be streaming it on Twitch if you want to come and see it. And I'll test out whatever you tell me you want to see. We'll do the testing and see what all of this new stuff is like. But that's all I have for you today. As always, thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate the time you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye. It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.